Question 1. From a practical standpoint, during the remediation of a hoarding residence where extensive animal feces and urine contamination are present, technician also notices persistent ammonia-like odors even after initial sanitation and HEPA vacuuming. The HVAC system had been shut down during initial cleaning. What is the most appropriate next step for to ensure odor removal is thorough and compliant with standards? A. Install ozone generators throughout the house for 48 hours without re-entering the property during operation. B. Begin full HVAC system operation to ventilate the structure before odor neutralization begins. C. Conduct HVAC duct inspection and apply thermal fogging inside ductwork while system is isolated. D. Apply activated charcoal filters to the return air grills and resume normal system operation. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Thermal fogging within ductwork while the system is isolated is a compliant and effective method to neutralize embedded odors in HVAC systems, especially from animal waste, HEPA and HRConquer. Ozone generators may pose health risks and are regulated by HEPA. Simply running the HVAC B before decontamination risks cross-contamination. Charcoal filters D aid in odor control but are not a remediation method. OSHA and HEPA require safety and odor control methods that minimize occupant exposure while preserving IAC. Question 2. Despite the fact that visible mold is not present, why must an HVACR biohazard remediation technician measure moisture content and relative humidity in a post-flood residential HVAC zone? A. To confirm whether insulation needs replacement. B. To validate dryness for insurance purposes. C. To verify remediation success and prevent mold regrowth. D. To calibrate HVAC sensors after flood recovery. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Measuring moisture levels and humidity ensures remediation has resolved hidden risks of microbial growth. Mold can grow within 8 hours in moist environments. HEPA mold remediation in schools and commercial buildings. Even when visible mold is absent, higher H or wet materials signal continued risk. Insurance validation. B. Is administrative, not health concern. Insulation replacement. A. Requires separate physical assessment. HVAC sensor calibration. D. Isn't tied to moisture verification. Question 3. While examining a trauma cleanup case, technician encounters dried blood on vent grills and ductwork of a central HVAC system. The family wants the HVAC reactivated as soon as possible. What must do first to comply with OSHA's bloodborne pathogens standard 29 CFR 1910.1030? A. Clean and sanitize only the visible contaminated sections of ductwork. B. Wear gloves and proceed to reactivate the HVAC system. C. Shut off HVAC, isolate the system, and perform full remediation with PPE. D. Turn on the HVAC system to dry out any residual moisture. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. OSHA mandates complete isolation and PPE use when handling bloodborne pathogens. Dried blood may still contain infectious agents like HBV or HIV. HVAC systems can aerosolize contaminants, violating OSHA and HEPA IAC standards if reactivated prematurely. Partial cleaning A and premature activation B. D. Compromise safety, full isolation and remediation per OSHA 1910.1030 and HRConquer are required. Question 4. According to recent studies, improper airflow management during mold remediation has been linked to increased cross-contamination rates. Which practice is most likely to result in cross-contamination during HVAC remediation in a mold-affected apartment complex? A. Installing HEPA-filtered negative air machines with pressure monitors. B. Leaving HVAC system operational during wall cavity cleaning. C. Constructing polyethylene containment barriers around the work zone. D. Using differential pressure to isolate contaminated spaces. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Leaving the HVAC system running during cleaning promotes aerosolized mold spores traveling to unaffected areas via shared ducts. HEPA and HRConquer emphasize shutting off HVAC systems during remediation. HEPA filtration A. Containment. C. And negative pressure. D. Prevent contamination. Maintaining clean zone integrity is critical to success in multi-unit remediation jobs. Question 5. Given the circumstances, Mr. Talbot is responding to a call regarding an elderly resident who was deceased for several weeks in a home without ventilation. there is advanced decomposition, including bodily fluid saturation beneath. A return A. Grill. What is Mr. Talbot's first priority before HVAC cleaning? A. Fog the room with disinfectant to suppress odors. B. Begin HVAC disassembly starting from the return duct. C. Establish work zones and verify proper PPE and containment. D. Seal off the HVAC registers and resume system operation to test airflow. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Before any cleaning, technicians must set up proper containment answer HRConquer and WARI PE in compliance with OSHA 1910.120. Decomposition fluids are biohazards and cross-contamination risks are high. Fogging is a later step. Immediate HVAC disassembly. B. Before containment breaches protocol, reactivating the system. D. Risks aerosolizing pathogens and violating EPA and OSHA standards. Question 6. Throughout the course of a commercial building assessment following a sewage backup, what is the primary purpose of air sampling in the HVAC zones? A. To identify exact fungal species for targeted disinfection. B. To meet building code requirements. C. To assess airborne contamination and validate remediation scope. D. To locate precise contamination sources in ductwork. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Air sampling is a diagnostic tool for determining the extent of airborne mold or bacteria spread per HRConquer and EPA guidance. While it can help identify organisms, its main purpose is to validate IAC and inform scope. Building codes. B. Don't mandate specific bioaerosol sampling. Precise location. D. Typically uses surface testing, not air sampling. Question 7. In a modern context of HVAC biohazard remediation, what must a technician do with filter media removed from an HVAC system contaminated by a methamphetamine lac cleaner? A. Rinse the filter and dispose of it in regular trash. B. Seal the filter in a labeled biohazard bag and dispose of it per hazardous waste regulations. C. Autoclave the filter to sterilize before disposal. D. Store it on site until client signs off final documentation. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Contaminated HVAC filters from drug labs are classified as hazardous waste and must be handled under our Resource Conservation and Recovery Act and local environmental laws. Filters must be sealed, labeled, and disposed of by a licensed hazardous waste handler. Rinsing A is non-compliant. Autoclaving. C. Doesn't neutralize chemical contaminants. Storing on site. D. Violates OSHA and EPA storage time limits. Question 8. One might argue that overuse of PPE can lead to inefficiencies, but when cleaning HVAC coils exposed to rodent feces and nesting materials, what PPE is legally required under OSHA regulations. 8. Safety glasses, nitrile gloves, and cloth mask. B. Full face respirator, gloves, Tyvek suit with boot covers. C. Face shield, safety vest, and hard hat. D. Simple cloth coveralls, goggles, and latex gloves. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Rodent infestations can transmit hantavirus and other pathogens. OSHA and CDC recommend full PPE, including a full face respirator and/or PE disposable protective suits and gloves. Less protective gear. AD fails to meet hazard standards. Option C includes irrelevant items, vest, hard hat, unless other site hazards are present. Proper PPE ensures legal and biological safety compliance. Question 9. To illustrate this point, why is photographic and written documentation critical during post-remediation verification of a mold-contaminated HVAC system? A. To provide proof of payment. B. To avoid potential fines by showing regulatory compliance. C. To allow clients to compare visual results. D. To assist insurance companies in rating HVAC energy efficiency. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Detailed documentation proves compliance with HRConquer and supports legal defensibility in case of future claims. It demonstrates containment, cleaning, and clearance testing outcomes. Payment records. A. Are financial, not technical. Client comparison. C. Is useful but not regulatory. Insurance efficiency ratings. D. Are unrelated. Documenting remediation is critical for liability, transparency, follow-up planning. Question 10. Across different scenarios, what must be verified before reactivating an HVAC system after biohazard remediation is completed? A. Negative air machines are still operating. B. All filters and contaminated components are replaced or cleaned and duct sealed. C. Moisture content in walls remains slightly elevated. D. Biocides are still actively evaporating. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. According to EPA and ICA guidelines, all filters must be replaced or cleaned and ducts must be free from contamination before system restart. Starting HVAC 2 soon can re-aerosolize contaminants. Negative pressure is useful during remediation but not needed after. Elevated moisture C may support mold growth. Evaporating biocides D pose inhalation hazards and must be neutralized before system operation. Question 11. To better understand the role of electrical safety in HVAC biohazard remediation, consider technician is Adler, who is preparing to clean a contaminated air handler inside a commercial property where sewage backup occurred. The unit has an automatic start feature linked to a central BMS system. What must is Adler do before entering the unit for cleaning? A. Only turn off the nearby breaker to disable the system. B. Use proper LOTO procedures and verify zero energy state before entering. C. Notify the building manager and proceed with cleaning. D. Install signage that warns of cleaning activity. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. Per OSHA 1910.147 lockout LOTO is mandatory to prevent accidental startup during service or cleaning. Units tied to automated systems pose serious risks of re-energization. Simply switching breakers A doesn't meet the standard. Notification C and signage D are good practices but don't ensure zero energy. Proper LOTO includes de-energizing, tagging and verification. Question 12. In light of recent developments, how should a biohazard remediation technician conduct a visual inspection of HVAC components in a crawl space impacted by mold and rodent infestation? A. Conduct the inspection from the crawl space entry and use a flashlight. B. Rely on HVAC system airflow tests to detect contamination. C. Use borescopes or mirrors to inspect inaccessible areas. D. Activate HVAC blower to visually observe air movement. Answer. Correct answer, C. Explanation. In confined spaces or where direct access is limited, visual inspection using tools like borescopes or inspection mirrors is critical for thorough assessment. HRConquer and S. Entry point inspections. A. Risk missing hidden contamination. Airflow tests. B. Don't reveal biohazards. Running the blower. D. Risks dispersing contaminants before containment. Question 13. The core principles of containment during biohazard remediation rely heavily on airflow management. What is the primary goal of maintaining negative pressure within a containment zone? A. Increase oxygen concentration for worker comfort. B. Prevent cross-contamination into adjacent clean zones. C. Improve drying of structural materials. D. Equalize pressure across barriers to maintain system balance. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. Negative air pressure ensures that airborne contaminants, e.g. mold spores, bioaerosols, remain inside the work zone, protecting adjacent areas. This is a standard practice cited in HRConquer. Increasing oxygen A is not the goal and drying C is secondary. Equalization D would defeat containment purpose and allow migration of contaminants. Question 14. By evaluating the risk of recontamination, why must HVAC filters be replaced even after ductwork has been cleaned and sanitized in a mold-contaminated system? A. Old filters may contain viable mold spores and residues. B. Filter performance decreases airflow significantly after cleaning. C. Cleaning the filters voids the HVAC manufacturer's warranty. D. Filter discoloration indicates bacterial resistance. Answer. Correct answer, A. Explanation. Filters trap contaminants, and once exposed to mold or biohazards, they must be treated as waste and replaced. EPA and HRConquer. Retaining old filters allows recirculation of spores. Cleaning filters, C, isn't always prohibited, but it's discouraged after exposure to pathogens. Discoloration, D, may occur, but it's not a direct indicator of bacterial resistance. Question 15. What would happen if an HVACR remediation technician fails to address microbial biofilms on HVAC evaporator coils? A. Reduced coil temperature and system overcooling. B. Enhanced airflow and higher static pressure. C. Persistent microbial regrowth and ionic degradation. D. Improved filtration of bacteria by coil surfaces. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Biofilms are protective microbial colonies that are difficult to remove and harbor bacteria, mold, and viruses. If not properly cleaned, they lead to regrowth, odor, and poor indoor air quality. HVACR options A and B do not reflect actual system performance changes due to biofilm. Coils do not act as filters. D. They become contamination sources. Question 16. When faced with a multifamily apartment complex with multiple HVAC zones and a known sewage backup affecting 2 lower units, what should technicianists prioritize while developing a biohazard remediation plan? A. Purchase the most cost-effective disinfectant and apply to all units. B. Initiate duct fogging in every unit regardless of contamination. C. Inspect and isolate only impacted HVAC zones before treatment. D. Rely on property manager's verbal report instead of physical inspection. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Effective remediation starts with isolation and detailed inspection of affected zones. Answer. HVACR blanket treatments. They beat waste resources and violate EPA-approved cleaning protocols. Skipping inspections. D. Undermines hazard assessment and legal defensibility. The plan must be targeted, verifiable, and justified through site-specific evidence. Question 17. Examining the consequences of a suicide that occurred near an air return grill in a residential property, what is the most appropriate HVACR technician response to ensure biohazard remediation is properly executed? A. Reactivate HVAC to dry surfaces and ventilate the scene. B. Conduct system-wide duct cleaning and filter replacement after decontamination of surrounding areas. C. Clean only the visibly stained return grill and adjacent duct. D. Spray disinfectant through each supply register to deodorize. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Trauma scenes require full remediation, including HVAC duct cleaning, even if blood is not visible throughout the system. Bioaerosols may travel beyond the visibly affected area. HRConquer and OSHA bloodborne pathogen guidelines require system-wide treatment to protect health, reactivating HVAC prematurely or limited treatment. C. D. Violates safety standards. Question 18. With respect to varying PPE levels, what distinguishes a Level C PPE suit from Level D in HVACR biohazard remediation scenarios? A. Level D includes full-face air purifying respirators. B. Level C provides chemical-resistant clothing and respiratory protection. C. Level C is used only for radiological exposure. D. Level D provide SCBA and full-body suits. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Level C PPE includes chemical-resistant suits and air-purifying respirators suitable for biohazard work when atmospheric conditions are known, yet PPE guidelines. Level D offers minimal protection. Typically regular work clothes. SCBA is part of Level B or not. D. Radiation protection. C is unrelated to HVAC BRT tasks. Question 19. The foundation of ethical biohazard remediation includes confidentiality. Why is maintaining client confidentiality during an HVAC biohazard cleanup critical? A. To ensure technicians don't share trade secrets. B. To comply with OSHA's privacy regulations. C. To uphold client dignity and avoid legal liability. D. To promote technician safety and awareness. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Technicians may encounter highly sensitive scenes, e.g. trauma, hoarding, drug use. Maintaining confidentiality protects the client's dignity and prevents legal liability, while OSHA enforces workplace safety. Confidentiality arises from professional ethics and potential civil law implications. HCA Code of Ethics. HIPAA-adjacent considerations in healthcare-related cleanups, trade secrets, and tech safety D are unrelated to confidentiality. Question 20. To what degree does the air change rate impact the effectiveness of a containment zone during HVAC biohazard remediation? A. Higher air change rates improve contaminant retention within the zone. B. Lower air change rates reduce pressure differential and promote drying. C. Proper etch ensures airborne contaminants are rapidly diluted and removed. D. Etch has no measurable effect on remediation success. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Air changes per hour is critical for diluting airborne biohazards in containment zones per PDC and EPA guidance minimum 612, which is recommended in biohazard remediation. This enhances air scrubbing, maintains negative pressure, and improves IC post-remediation. High H doesn't retain contaminants, it removes them. Low HB impairs dilution, saying H is irrelevant. D. Incorrect and dangerous. Question 21. While it is true that airflow plays a crucial role in biohazard remediation, technician Mr. Sutherland is remediating a basement impacted by sewage intrusion. He configures several air movers and a dehumidifier, but notices an unexpected increase in relative humidity within the containment zone. Which airflow-related mistake is most likely contributing to this problem? A. Insufficient negative air pressure from air scrubbers. B. Air movers are recirculating contaminated air without filtration. C. Dehumidifier exhaust is directed into a sealed containment. D. Overuse of supply air from the main HVAC system. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Directing dehumidifier exhaust into a sealed space without proper venting increases heat and moisture, worsen RH. EPA and HRConquer stress-controlled airflow and exhaust. 1. Negative pressure A helps containment, is not the source of increased RH in this scenario. Recirculating unfiltered air B contributes to contamination but less so RH rise. Supplying HVACR D may pressurize the space but isn't the direct cause of humidity increase in this case. Question 22. Among the various challenges in meth lab HVAC remediation, what is the legal requirement for disposing of chemically contaminated duct insulation? A. Clean, dry, and reuse it once fogged with disinfectant. B. Triple bag it and dispose through municipal solid waste. C. Transport under hazardous waste chain of custody to certified disposal site. D. Incinerate it on site with client permission. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Duct insulation contaminated with meth residue must be treated as hazardous waste under the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act. It must follow proper labeling, handling, and chain of custody protocols. Triple bagging for regular waste B violates regulations. On-site incineration D is illegal and dangerous. Cleaning and reuse A is prohibited due to porous material retention of toxic substances. Question 23. Through careful analysis of HVAC coil contamination with mold and bacteria, technician Collins considers using a high-strength biocide. Which of the following is a critical factor before applying biocides inside HVAC components? A. Verifying compatibility with air handler metal surfaces. B. Using the highest possible concentration for effectiveness. C. Bypassing EPA registration if used only in duct interiors. D. Disabling the HVAC blower permanently during application. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. EPA-registered biocides must be compatible with HVAC system materials to prevent corrosion or system damage. The EPA mandates use of approved products under FIFRA. Overconcentration B can violate safety standards. Bypassing registration C is illegal. Disabling the blower permanently D is unnecessary and impacts system operation post-remediation. Question 24. Focusing specifically on post-remediation verification of an HVAC zone affected by fungal contamination, what is the most appropriate use of surface sampling? A. To identify active mold growth on air supply registers. B. To test for humidity conditions throughout the ductwork. C. To evaluate HVAC system temperature distribution. D. To analyze airflow patterns through negative pressure systems. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Surface sampling is used to determine whether viable mold remains after remediation. EPA and HRConquer recommend surface testing for post-verification, especially in visible or high-risk zones like supply registers. Humidity, B, and airflow, D, require separate instruments. Temperature checks, C, aren't relevant for post-remediation microbial assessments. Question 25. Upon closer examination of an HVAC system serving a residence exposed to prolonged sewage backup, technician Mr. Granger finds black water-contaminated flex ducting. What is the appropriate action regarding this component? A. Disinfect the duct thoroughly and seal all joints. B. Remove and replace all affected flex ducting entirely. C. Dry the ducting in place and retest air quality. D. Install an inline UV light system to neutralize contaminants. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Per EPA and HRConquer says porous materials like flex ducting contaminated by Category 3 black water must be removed and replaced. They cannot be reliably decontaminated. Disinfecting and sealing A is inadequate. Drying in place C does not remove embedded pathogens. UV systems D are supplemental, not substitutes for replacement. Question 26. In contrast to chemical exposure, why is prolonged inhalation of airborne mold spores in contaminated HVAC zones particularly harmful? A. Mold spores reduce blood oxygen content directly. B. They provoke immune responses that may escalate into chronic respiratory issues. C. Mold releases carbon monoxide in small amounts. D. Spores suppress lung function by replacing alveolar tissue. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Mold spores can cause allergic reactions, asthma, and hypersensitivity pneumonitis by triggering immune responses. The CDC and EPA highlight the long-term impact of bioaerosol exposure. Spores do not reduce oxygen, A. Emit CO, C. Or replace tissue, D. Chronic exposure is especially dangerous in HVAC environments where occupants may be unaware of contamination. Question 27. To illustrate this point, which HVAC system type presents the highest risk for widespread cross-contamination during a biohazard incident in a multi-unit building? A. Dedicated split system per unit. B. Packaged rooftop unit with duct branches to all floors. C. Mini split systems with isolated evaporators. D. Variable refrigerant flow (VRF) system with no shared air pathways. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Packaged rooftop units serving multiple zones can distribute contaminants widely if not isolated. Shared ducts and returns facilitate cross-contamination. ERF systems D. Typically use refrigerant, not shared air. Mini splits C. Are isolated by design. Split systems A. Serve single zones and contain contamination better. Question 20. The predominant theory suggests that during a biohazard event involving body fluid exposure inside an HVAC mechanical room, what should be the first action by an HVAC technician? A. Apply disinfectant immediately to all surfaces. B. Evacuate the area and secure access before remediation. C. Shut down the HVAC system from the main breaker. D. Begin cleaning the nearest air registers to contain spread. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Securing the scene prevents accidental exposure and complies with OSHA 1910.120. Immediate cleaning A. D. Without control of the area risks further contamination. While shutting down the system C. is important. Safety and isolation come first to protect workers and prevent unauthorized access. Question 29. In response to a severe hoarding situation where decaying food, mold, and rodent waste have contaminated HVAC returns, what key factor must be addressed before reactivating the HVAC system? A. Apply biocide to hoarded materials before removal. B. Ensure negative pressure exists in the main duct trunk. C. Remove all contaminated debris and inspect ducts for infiltration. D. Conduct fogging operations while system is on. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Debris must be removed first, followed by HVAC inspection and cleaning. HRConquer emphasizes physical removal as a prerequisite to HVAC reactivation. Fogging while system runs. D. Risks spreading contaminants. Applying biocide before debris removal. A. Is ineffective. Negative pressure. B. Helps containment but doesn't replace debris clearance. Question 30. Taking into account the importance of client assurance and compliance, which of the following is a required step during post-remediation verification of HVAC systems? A. Visual clearance, moisture readings, and surface air testing. B. Fogging the duct again after HEPA vacuuming. C. Replacing all mechanical equipment regardless of condition. D. Running the HVAC continuously for 48 hours post-cleaning. Answer. Correct answer, A. Explanation. Post-remediation verification per HRConquer includes a combination of visual inspection, surface sampling, and ensuring environmental conditions, moisture, are within normal range. Fogging again. B is not a substitute. Full equipment replacement. C is unnecessary unless contaminated. Continuous system operation. D is in verification standard and may reintroduce issues if cleaning was incomplete.